All right, let me see how this works. I'm turning on the group chat, and can you guys hear me? Hello? I think you can respond. Yes, okay, all right, we got some people. All right, a bunch of people are saying yes, and let me see. All right, I'm like having to manually admit everyone to the room. I'm gonna have to change the settings so that's not gonna be the case. But all right. Well, how's everybody doing? I don't know. I think you hold down the space bar to unmute yourself, and you can respond there, or you can respond in the chat. I think there's also a button for reactions, and you can give me a thumbs up reaction, I believe. Yes, and we'll see how all of this goes. Okay, well, I guess this is our first session on Zoom, and it is being recorded. And I guess I'll just wait around for a few more people to arrive, and then yeah, I'll wait. I'll wait before, I guess, talking about school stuff. But I guess if somebody's willing to say something, you can unmute yourself and say hello, or just. Let me see. All right. And I guess this will be a preview of what spring quarter might be like. Okay, Rockford's asking, am I going to screen share slides? So, okay, I guess I'll go ahead and get started. I've decided, just because it's a little bit too crazy, I'm not going to cover any more new content, okay? So I'll just write that into the chat. I will not cover any more new content, okay, that you will be responsible for. Okay, and is our exam cumulative? The original plan was no, and I think I'm going to stick to that. No, it's going to be heavily focused on things from after the midterm exam. All right, and so I guess I'll create a post and a description on CCLE, and I'll also post it to CampusWire. Basically, what I'm going to do is I think we'll cover floating point numbers, okay, floating point notation, We'll cover root finding and optimization methods, unidimensional. We'll cover, the final exam will cover coordinate descent and Nelder-Mead, which I just covered on Monday. It will also cover randomization tests and bootstrap tests, okay? What it's looking like right now is randomization test and bootstrap test will be free response, which I'll have you write some code to complete a randomization test or a bootstrap test. So you'll have to write some kind of for loop, or if you want to use boot and write a boot function, stuff like that. I'll detail all of these out in writing as well. The other ones will probably be numeric calculation-based type things. So it'll, and I'll try to break these down into kind of small things. So questions similar to, I guess, the two most recent quizzes. One covered floating points, and it would be something like, you know, how would you write this number in floating point notation, you know, if you had a kind of the mini float setup, or, you know, something like what would the increment be for some kind of number, something like that from one of the recent quizzes. I think another recent quiz I had going on root finding methods, where I said, here's some function, here's your starting point, and if you use Newton-Raphson, what's the next iteration value going to be? And it's just going to be, you write down the number, and either you got that number right or you got that number wrong. So that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. I'm still writing it. I'm just kind of, I like to try to write it and come back a day later, take a look at it, and just ask myself, is this a reasonable thing to be asking? Is this is this going to work? Okay. Are there any questions about that? Okay, so will we only be allowed to use written/printed notes on the final? Yeah, I saw that question on Campus Wire, and I'm gonna say let's save the trees. Let's not print out every single slide, every single thing. So if you have a tablet, I guess that's fine. I guess even a phone is fine. I know that's like opening myself up to cheating, which I really don't want the case to be. My hope is that we can at least honor one another and not collaborate on the final. That's the whole point of using the Respondus thing with the webcam recording, so that I know other people aren't in the room, or at least not working, looking at the screen with you, which would be a problem. And I'm hoping I'll have at least enough kind of different versions of the question, so that if you were to try to text each other the questions to get answers or something like that, it would be a little bit harder to do based on the the different versions that of the question that exist. So that's kind of my strategy to kind of combat the potential for academic dishonesty. Again, my hope is that that you don't that everybody's honest, okay? And I think 98% of you are. But again, my first year of teaching, I learned the hard way that I can't trust everyone, which is unfortunate. Okay. Chad has asked, we won't have to derive any of the root finding methods or formulas, right? Correct. That's not going to be working well in an online format. So, I'll leave it open note, and um, I'll just say, implement Newton Raphson to find kind of the next value. You'll obviously need a calculator to do that. Okay. Shinyu asked, will we be tested on ggplot? I have no plans on putting ggplot on the exam. Carolyn is asking, do you know how long it will be? I will give you 3 hours to complete the exam. I don't intend for the exam to take 3 hours. I don't fully know exactly how long the exam will take. I'm trying, my target is probably going to be an hour and a half, 2 hours, something around there. That's my target. But that's the plan. Okay. Since we can't access our local files while we take the exam, what do you suggest we do in terms of accessing our notes? Okay, so for that, you can use you can print out stuff, you can write stuff down. I think, honestly, I know some of you take your notes on a tablet. Honestly, I think if you take the time to write down a couple of cheat sheets in terms of like notes, like summarize most of the class content on maybe 2 or 3 notes, 2 or 3 sheets of notes, that will help you internalize the stuff. But yeah, it is a lockdown browser, so you won't be able to access your the files on your local computer. But if you have a tablet, I will allow that. If you want to look at your notes on your phone, I will also allow that. The agreement here is that you will use the tablet and phone only for accessing notes and not for communicating to each other in the class. And the current plan is to write enough different versions of the questions so that communicating with each other, in a text form will be inefficient as far as working. Okay, so let me here. We got more questions. Is anybody able to actually use their voice to ask a question? Is that going to work? Are you not able to unmute yourselves?
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, I'm just gonna ask, if I have like a second laptop, am I allowed to pull my notes up there? If I put it on like airplane mode?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a little bit too hard to kind of police. I think I'm gonna have to draw the line at no second laptops. So, I know it's like everything's getting blurry, right? Like the lines between a phone and a tablet and a laptop are all, what's the difference between a Surface and a laptop? And I don't know. Basically, what I don't want is you typing out your question. You see the final exam question. I don't want you typing it out, sending it off to someone else, and they say, oh, here's the answer, and they send it back. The plan is to make several versions of each question, of comparable difficulty, but with enough different numbers that it's not like you can say, hey, what was the number you got for number 1? And somebody says, I got 2.35, but rather, maybe their answer is 2.35, but yours is 2.79 or something like that. That's the strategy I have. I have no idea if that's a great strategy or a terrible strategy. I'm trying to figure out what's the best to do here. Okay, so let me keep looking at.
Is there a way that you can make it so people can't type on their phone and just like scroll through their notes on their phone, but they can't like type, which prevent texting between people?
Is there a way to do that?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a way to, as far as I know, I don't think there's a way to disable typing on your phone. But
I just meant like if you're watching the people who are taking the exam, if they start typing on their phone as opposed to just scrolling through their notes.
Right. So, you know, I've got my phone here. Okay. Now, am I typing something on my phone? Right. You can't see me. Like, can you tell if I'm typing?
No, you can't tell.
No, you can't tell, right? It so I don't think it's going to be possible to tell, right? Like obviously if I'm like doing motions like that, then it'll be clear, but if I'm just doing this, even if I'm holding the screen in view, like you can't really tell if I'm typing or so, you know, it's hard when it's like when there's a webcam, I can do magic tricks here, right? because I know the exact perspective, and so it's really easy to hide stuff from a webcam. It's not a perfect system, but with the webcam, at least one thing I can be sure of is that there's not like another person in the room side by side looking at the thing and working together. That's, I think, the only thing I can really make sure is happening with the webcam. But as far as you know, what somebody is doing on the phone, what someone doing on the laptop or tablet, it's going to be hard. So yeah, I will say paper notes allowed, scratch paper allowed, phones and tablets allowed. But the idea is with enough different versions of the question that typing something out on the phone is going to be a huge pain. Okay, and at least because it's separate, that you won't be able to like copy and paste the text of the question into the phone really easily, right? If you're accessing the exam on the lockdown browser, you can't copy and paste the question and email it off to somebody. And again, you know, this is me just being maybe a little bit paranoid after getting, you know, I burned my first year with, you know, issues of academic dishonesty. But, you know, I don't know. I'm also browsing Reddit, and it does seem to be a concern among students that other students are going to cheat, and if they don't cheat, then they're going to be at a disadvantage, and so everybody has to cheat. And I don't believe that's the case. I think that's the wrong attitude and mentality to have. I've never graded students based on their relative performance. So, you know, what someone else does is not going to affect your grade. You're being graded against the exam and the questions that I've posed, and hopefully the questions I pose will encapsulate enough of the content that, you know, passing my questions reflects at least a passing knowledge of the course content. So I don't want anybody to feel like they have to cheat. It's a tough situation that we're in. Taking exams at home, having a webcam like surveil you, you know, it's not great. But at least the webcam surveillance will, at least I'll know if somebody else is in the room. Okay. Now, if you are, I do want to say, some of you have expressed concern that you don't have a private room. Okay, and so if that's the case, just at the beginning of the exam, you know, when you show the thing, you can show that you have another roommate. But you know, as long as your roommate, I guess, has their back turned the whole time and is at like another desk, I don't have a problem with that, right? That's kind of like having just someone else in the same room, but you know, their back is, you know, if it's possible, please, you know, set up your room in such a way that you're facing your laptop, and then, you know, maybe your roommate is taking an exam at the same time and they're facing the other direction. And I feel like as long as you guys have your backs turned, you know, I don't have to worry about I guess, my concern is that like people are going to set up their laptops next to each other and then be looking over at each other's screens, and trying to figure something out in that way. And so, um, if you guys are, so don't take the exams next to each other. At least, when I look at the videos, if like you guys are if a couple people are in the exact same room, that's certainly going to look suspicious. Okay. Um, so yeah, if another person's in the room but their back is turned towards the laptop kind of the whole time, I feel like that's going to be okay. Okay, so what if the phone had to be in the frame? Yeah, I think even if the phone's in the frame, I can't tell what the person's doing on the phone, like unless it's like, but then it's that's just not gonna work very well. So if I'm living in a dorm with 2 roommates, where can I find a private room to take the exam? Take the exam in your room. Just tell your roommates that you are taking an exam. They have to be quiet, okay? Because Respondus does have a mic, and part of the setup is that you talk so that it can make sure that the mic is working, and that's the plan. Okay, is there any free response conceptual questions? Yes, I will also probably ask a few free response conceptual questions, something like under I don't know, what root finding algorithm is guaranteed to find a root or something like that. And you tell me the bisection method. That's the only one that's guaranteed. Or I don't know, under what conditions will fixed point iteration converge to a fixed point? And the answer to that is if the derivative at the fixed point is less than 1 or something like that. Absolute value of the derivative of the fixed point is less than 1. So yes, I do anticipate there to be some free response conceptual questions. I'll list out, once I finish writing the exam and kind of finalize the online exam, I'll write out a listing of what you guys can expect. What, how are you guys feeling? I can't really see you guys, so I can't tell if everyone's skeptical of my plan or if this seems reasonable given what we have. Okay. Will there be material or concepts not covered during lecture, like the reading on the last homework or extra slides you didn't cover in class? Extra slides. I think I've covered most of my slides. We'll say if it's in the slides, that it could show up on the exam. So is the final comment? Yeah, mostly after the exam. All right, thank you for your votes of confidence here. Yeah, it's not perfect. I really hope all of spring quarter is not going to be online. The first 2 weeks will be online, and we'll have to adapt to that. But I really hope that the whole quarter is not online. That's gonna be rough. Do you guys have any other questions?
Could I ask a question real quick?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so what's your advice for like doing the root finding problems, since they're going to be all or nothing? Like I guess, what's your advice for being careful in terms of like not making like a stupid arithmetical error to like throw off the whole problem?
Well, so when I had a paper exam, it was conduct multiple iterations, and so you would start off, and then you would trace it, and you'd find the next iteration, and then you'd use that for the following calculation, and then you'd use that value for the following calculation, and it was okay in a paper exam because if somebody made a mistake in the first step, we were at least able to follow the work and say like, okay, you messed up this first step, but using this number in the second step, this makes sense. Okay. So, as far as this thing goes, I'm just going to have you do one iteration, okay? And either you get that iteration correct or not. And I think that's kind of the best solution I can offer right now. So, if I say you start here for Newton-Raphson method, what's the next iteration going to be? And it's not going to be some kind of thing where it's like, okay, now you got that iteration done. What's the next iteration? And then what's the next iteration? That's going to be that would probably work out poorly in an online form where I can't do partial credit. So, so I hope that answers your question a little bit. So do I have any advice? Yeah, so as far as one iteration goes, it's going to be kind of an all or nothing situation, but it's not going to be like, so in the paper exam, it was kind of like do 3 iterations. And if you mess up the first one, then your answers for the second and third one would be wrong. But if I was able to follow your work through the second and third iteration and it made sense to me, I would have given you partial credit. I can't do that for this exam. And so it's just going to be like, do this iteration. and that's going to be kind of a all or nothing. Because, as far as like Newton-Raphson goes, it's really just, there's not a whole lot to calculate there, right? You start off with x of n, and the x at time n plus 1 is just x of n minus f of x of n divided by f prime of xn, right? So it's just that. So I think it's reasonable to make that be a kind of an all or nothing type of question. I'll try to form the other questions to also be these other kind of root finding questions or optimization based questions. It'll probably just be one iteration at a time. So same thing with kind of like, what was it? Coordinate descent. I'll say, so it kind of like that, your quiz, I think I said, here's this 2-dimensional function. If you hold x constant or if you hold y constant, and this is your starting point, then what's the next coordinate going to be, or what's the next value going to be? So, so that's what we have. Okay. Are there going to be questions asking for exact output of some code like in the midterm? I don't have that planned. Okay. I do have a question planned where you write the code. Okay. So it'll be kind of like write the code to conduct a randomization test. All right. And you can look over the notes. I think the homework is a good preparation for those types of questions. You're going to have questions, fairly similar to the homework, where it will, where I'll have some kind of setup, and I'll say write the code to conduct a randomization test. And so for that, you'll write for, you'll say like differences is going to be repeat NA, 10,000 times, and you're going to say for I and sequence along differences, curly brace, shuffle, sample this and store this, and calculate the differences into that. Okay, will homework 6 be graded before the final? Considering that homework 6 is due this Friday, I don't think I can ask my graders to have it graded before the final. They're grad students. They've got finals week. All of their classes got converted online. It's even weirder for the grad students. I feel really bad for the grad students, just because their evaluation system is usually more rigorous than undergrads, and so I'm not going to put the pressure on them to get homework 6 graded in like 48 hours. So sorry, homework 6 probably won't get graded until after finals week is over. Okay, during the final exam, what if someone has to use the restroom? That's a good question. I guess what you'll do is you'll speak into the mic, and you'll say, I need to leave, I need to use the restroom. And then maybe what you can do is you can, I guess, leave your, I don't know, phone and tablet in view of the phone, in view of the thing. So I guess you'll like kind of point this down, and I don't know, you'll put the phone or something in view on your desk, and then use the restroom, and then you'll come back. And again, my hope is that you're not going to have like all of these questions memorized in your head, and you'll talk to some person outside the restroom or something. I don't know. So I guess, you know, I'll try to answer all of these questions. A lot of these questions, I guess we'll have some kind of Q&A. I mean, this is acting as a Q&A here. And so I'll have something, right? Obviously, you know, if you have to use the restroom, you have to use the restroom. So we'll do that, and we'll just, you know, we'll just do our best. We'll try, you know, again, at 98% of you, I can trust to be honest, and not try to game the system. And, you know, the other, it's that 2% that I worry about, that, you know, in a times of crisis, use it for personal gain or something. Okay, it says, but I tried the quiz on CCLE. When we're in the exam, we cannot see the camera screen. Okay, oh. Well, okay, if that's the case, then that's a problem, huh? All right, okay, I'm thinking, I'm not sure. How can we make sure the phone's under the camera when we go to the restroom? Yeah, okay, I guess if you can't see your own camera, I don't know. Okay, well, maybe you can power down your phone in front of the camera. I don't know. And then make obvious, you know, I'm sure somebody can be dishonest and work a way around it. It's probably not going to be a perfect system, but I don't want to say no one's allowed to use the restroom. So we'll do that, right? Do you think it's going to be harder than the midterm or about the same difficulty? Okay, so the answer is it's totally different from the midterm, right? The midterm, I had all of these weird questions about like what happens in this situation, and oh, hi, let me say hi to my neighbor. Hey, Debbie, doing well. Yeah, everybody's up. I am. I'm in a web call, so yeah. We're thanks. I don't know if you heard it. Yeah, so at UCLA they turned all the classes online, and next week's finals week, and so we're gonna have to do online final exams, and yeah, it's tricky. So yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's yeah, that's what we got going on. So all right. Yeah. All right. Thank you. All right. You too. Okay. Do you think it's going to be harder than the midterm? So again, it's totally different from the midterm, so I can't, you know, I can't answer that question. My intention is not for it to be crazy hard. Okay. And the fact that it's going to be open note, I think makes a lot of the questions easier. That's just where we are. So All right. PTE for 102B. Yeah. I can't. I was told not to give any PTEs out. So, you know, now that it's like online class, you know, I don't even know. But yeah, right now my class is full. There's still 2 lectures that have open seats, and so the department is is concerned that I don't take on too much of a workload by having too many students, and so the department has told me not to do any PTEs, and um, so I'm sorry. I wish I had unlimited energy and could teach everybody, right? Like I really enjoy it, but that's not the case, right? Okay. What should we do if there happens to be a technical difficulty during the exam? For example, connection, camera problems. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna do our best. I understand that technical difficulties happen, and I'll be understanding of that. You know, I recognize this means that there might be a student who intentionally causes a technical difficulty or something, and in a situation that I can't really verify, and is maybe to get away with some kind of academic dishonesty, and I hope that's not going to be the case. And again, um, I don't. The grading in my class is not based on student relative performance. Um, so if somebody else is being dishonest, don't worry about that. That's their problem. Hopefully, um, it's not a huge issue in terms of I hope not a ton of people are doing it, and then hopefully, there's a way to kind of verify and discourage that kind of stuff. Okay, I had technical difficulties where lockdown completely crashed during a Spanish final in the past. Or it says I was able to switch into class 1. Okay, so all right, so that's a possibility. All right, technical difficulties when lockdown completely crashed. Okay, Joseph, what ended up happening there? Can I ask? Did that get resolved somehow? Okay. Will the countdown start at 11:30 and shut the final down at 2:30? Yes. It will become available on CCLE at 11:30 and will lock up at 2:30. The exam shouldn't take the full 3 hours. Okay. I had to get the test reset by the professor the second time it worked. So when reset during the exam time, or just you took it later, or? Spanish exams have a variable start time, I see. Okay. All right, well, if something like that happens, I suppose we'll have to play it by ear, and probably I'll have to reset the exam and you'll take it at another time or something like that. And I hope that's not the case. Probably it's a good idea to reboot your computer before taking the exam, right? You reboot your computer, make sure all these other things are closed, and then you start up the lockdown browser on the you go to CCLE, you log in, and then launch lockdown browser from there. Hopefully that's how it's going to work. Let's see. In my econ class, our professor said that we were required to take a screenshot of the technical difficulty and send an email to him immediately with the screenshot during the exam. Okay, I guess that's a reasonable thing. Like you take your camera and you take a picture of the I guess. Yeah, is last Monday your last lecture? Yeah, so that would be my last as far as new content. Like I had like other stuff that was more like, this is kind of neat, like density estimation and things like that. Probability density estimation, which I think is a neat topic, but it's not critical. So we'll leave it. Will you be posting the slides for the material you planned for today and Friday? Probably not. I didn't have that much planned. Usually what happens is I usually plan for like 1 or 2 days, a little bit less, and then and just kind of like bonus topics. And so today would have been kind of, so if everything was normal and we didn't go online and everybody was healthy and there was no concerns, probably today would have just been a couple extra topics like probability density estimation. And then Friday, I usually give kind of I would have given like a review of the final and a pep talk about life and, you know, how your grades don't define you and how, how to find joy, things like that. So I guess if you want the lecture on life or something, I suppose I could record a little vlog or something and post that for you guys if you want. Can we still get the pep talk? Yeah. All right. I haven't put my thoughts together, so let me gather my thoughts. I'll record a pep talk for you guys later on, and then I'll upload that. Will you be tested on the pep talk? Can I help you with your 100B final? What does that mean? Okay, you don't know. All right. Yeah, Monday material will still be on the exam. That's correct. I'll put a practice problem on there. Basically, it's going to be, you know, here's some 2-dimensional function. You start off with 3 starting points. What are you going to do next, right? You reflect, you extend, and things like that. So, so that's what that will be. All right. I don't know. Are there other questions? Oh no. Thank you for a great quarter. It's I guess let's see. Most common mistakes you see on exams. Most common mistakes I see on exams. I don't know. For the midterm exams, I can do that, but for the final exam, let me think. Most common mistakes on the final exam. I guess, for like the randomization test, I think, students might have created their initial vector of trues and falses incorrectly. They might do the sampling incorrectly. Sometimes they'll run the sample outside of the loop, and it needs to happen in every iteration inside the loop. The observed difference is calculated outside of the loop, and inside the loop, you do the sampling, and then you calculated the difference from the randomized samples or the bootstrap samples inside the loop. And I think students often get mixed up in terms of like what should happen inside the loop or outside the loop. For Nelder Mead, what kind of problem will you be given? Since from the lecture you are drawing points on a picture, how can we do it through an online exam? Okay, so yeah, so what's going to happen is I'll give you a two-dimensional function, right? So it'll be like, you know, x squared plus y squared or something, right? Some kind of two-dimensional function. And then, and I'll give you 3 starting points, right? And this will form your initial simplex, okay? And from there you will have to, probably, I'm going to have to break this up into different things. And I'm going to say like, you know, here's your simplex. And I'm going to just ask you like, which point is the worst performing point, okay? And then and that will be, yeah, or I'll have you like say, you know, this one's the best performing and this one's the worst performing, okay? And then probably the next question will be the exact same question, except I'll have 3 different points, and I will go ahead and I'll identify the which one's the best and which one's the worst, just in case, you know, again, I'm trying to separate out the calculation-based questions into like single pieces. It's just in case you messed up the first part, it's not going to carry over into the second part. So then, so it will be, you know, here are the 3 points, and here's the function evaluated at these things. This one's the worst. Based on that, where is going to be the reflected point and the extended point, or something like that. Okay. Okay. Randomization and non-parametric bootstrap seem really similar. What's the difference? Okay. Yeah. Randomization, samples without replacement. You are effectively taking all of the treatments and you are just shuffling the order of the random assignment of treatments. Okay. And you are saying, when I conducted the experiment, there were 50 people and 25 of them were randomly assigned to treatment A and 25 were randomly assigned to treatment B. And these are the 50 values that I observed. And you're going to keep the same 50 values, but we're going to randomly assign the treatment A and the treatment B. They're going to go into who gets treatment A and who gets treatment B will be randomly assigned, okay? But at the end, you're still going to have 25 that went into A and 25 that went into B. When you do non-parametric bootstrap, what's happening there is that you're saying, here I got a sample of 50 values. These 50 values are representative of the entire population. And so what I can do is I can take these 50 values and copy and paste them. So I have, you know, now I have 50 million values, okay? And it's basically each value has been copied a million times. And then I'm going to sample a sample of 50 from the 50 million, okay? And that's effectively the same as sampling with replacement. And you're going to get a new sample of 50 values. And these 50 values, there's going to be duplicate values because you've been resampling things. And from there, you can group some into group A or group B and figure out what's going on there. Okay. I'm a little confused by how we should calculate the reflected, extended, and contracted points. I know how to find it on picture, but don't know how to use a formula to calculate. Okay. I will post a practice problem, okay? And I guess I'll post answers for the practice problem, and hopefully that will answer your question. Okay, there was a question, and this was a private question, but it says, some people didn't get credit for their extra credit in homework 3. I'll have to look into that, okay? If applicable, will we have the option of choosing between boot and not? I'm more comfortable doing this without boot. Yeah, I'll make it optional. You don't have to use boot if you don't want it. Okay. Is there a lecture on Friday? No. I'll record a pep talk for you guys, and it'll be like 5 minutes or something. I don't know. Maybe an hour. Who knows, right? I'll record some kind of talk for you guys, and I'll post that up for Friday. We declare which one we need to use for random parameter. No, you'll need to figure that out. Well, let me see. probably I'll have different questions, okay? Maybe I'll say in this situation, what would be appropriate to use, a randomization test or bootstrap, okay? But then for the test where you, question where you write the code, I'll say do a randomization test, right? So I'll tell you on one problem, I'll tell you do a randomization test. On this problem, do a bootstrap, non-parametric or parametric bootstrap. And then on a separate question, I'll say, in this situation, what would be appropriate to use? Randomization, parametric, bootstrap, or bootstrap, whatever. For parametric, we did an example in class by assuming normality. How do you do it for assuming a different distribution? What code in R samples from those other distributions, right? Yeah, so, as far as the exam goes, if we do a parametric thing, it'll just assume it's normal or something. But yeah, you might be in a situation where you say, it makes sense to use a Poisson distribution, right? You're just gonna say how many pieces of mail arrive, and that's like kind of, how many pieces of mail arrive on a certain day, and that's a classic Poisson distribution type of thing, and R has R Poisse or R Poisson, I don't remember, and it can generate random values from that thing to simulate such a distribution. So. I gotta say, it's kind of nice. I'm holding a class from my condo's balcony. I'm outside. It's a nice day. I guess we got to just make the best of where we are, right? Okay. All right. Last call for questions regarding the exam and stuff. All right. Well, thank you guys for the very kind words. All right. If there aren't a bunch of questions, then we'll I guess we'll wrap this up. I guess this will be it. I guess I'll try to record a pep talk for you guys and post that. But truly, it's been an honor being your teacher. I had a great time lecturing and meeting class, and I know the situation we're in is not ideal for anyone here, but we're going to do the best we can with it, and I hope the rest of your finals and the rest of your week goes well, and stay safe and stay healthy out there, and yeah. I don't know when I'll see you guys next, honestly. Maybe April 10th if campus opens up. But yeah, we'll have to see how everything goes. Some of you I'll see in 102B. Others of you I didn't get in the class, and I'm sorry about that. But it's truly it's been my pleasure and my honor, and so I'm very thankful for you guys. You guys make me love my job, and so I'm happy for everything. So, all right, you guys, I'm going to sign off here, and we'll end the meeting, and I'll send out just a wrap up. I guess some more text updates for you guys as I continue writing up this exam here. All right, have a good day, good night, good week, and we'll see you guys. I don't know when. Hopefully not too long. Hopefully we can see each other in person without fear. So see you guys. All right. Bye-bye.